We now want to take a look at striking with long-handled implements. This will be very similar to striking with rackets or paddles. The biggest difference is you're going to see an instrument which is a little bit longer. For example, I have a couple of YouTube clips that you can look at. The first YouTube clip is of a rally in a professional badminton game. It's pretty interesting to watch the hand-eye coordination and the ability of the players to continuously return the birdie as it's moving at a high rate of speed. The second one is a video of a unique game that most of us are not familiar with. It is more of a Asian sport. So I'll let you view that video to see another way of striking with a long-handled implement. So again, I think you'll enjoy watching both of those videos. So striking with long-handled implements, two ways of viewing this: a horizontal swing, which is going to be more of a sidearm pattern, and then also a vertical swing, which is an underhand swinging pattern. The horizontal swing is used when striking with the bat. So when we look at the flow chart here in a minute, we'll see some pictures of an individual demonstrating a horizontal swing. And then a vertical swing is used when striking with a hockey stick or possibly a golf club. So that's the best example that we can think of as it relates to the vertical swing. Sidearm striking, a couple of things that you want to observe. You'll see in this picture the child is striking off of a cone. This is a great way for you to allow children to practice striking an object. When you look at the first bullet point, does the child swing the bat in a horizontal plane? In order to make contact off of the cone, you want the child to make a horizontal plane swing. This child in this picture does for the most part. You'll notice too that his back shoulder is dropping, and you'll notice too that the swing is moving more upward, and that's probably the reason why the cone was knocked over. You want a child to practice a swing where they make contact with the ball, but they don't knock the cone over. Does the child take a forward step and follow it quickly with hip, trunk, and arm rotation? Similar to what we talked about with striking with rackets and paddles. A lot of their power is going to be coming from the rotation of the body instead of just the arm movement. And do the child's wrists uncock after contact? And so you don't want the wrist to remain firm throughout the swing. You do want the wrist to uncock after making contact. So here's the flow chart that I wanted you to observe. Notice the rotation of the body. Notice the horizontal swing. You'll notice in this picture the child is slightly dropping the back shoulder, and you see more of an upward swing. More than likely, this child, once contact was made, the ball was probably sent into the air. Underhand striking is the child's left arm kept firm at the top of the backswing. In other words, keeping the left arm firm is going to help you to maintain balance, and it's going to help you as you go throughout the swing during the process. Is the child's weight shifted to the back foot at the top of the backswing with both knees remaining bent? So again, we think about swinging a bat in the previous pictures. Your weight's going to go from the back foot to the front foot, and in that motion moving forward, you also have the rotation of the body, which is going to generate the power. Is the child's weight shifted to the forward foot as the swing begins? So some cues to remember when striking with rackets and paddles. You want to keep a flat paddle. And then the second one is you want to watch the ball. So when they're striking, especially from a pre-control level, keeping the paddle flat, having them practice balancing a ball on the paddle is a great way for developing cues for striking with long instruments. So as you can see, these cues are related to striking with rackets and paddles, but they still hold true when we're striking with long instruments. Here's some examples of striking with long instruments. Again, with as we understand the flow chart, understanding positioning and understanding of where we want the body to be when contact is made. So teaching striking with long-handled implements, as we look at the progression from pre-control all the way up to proficiency, again in quick review, pre-control being the foundation, being the elementary aspects of the skill theme, all the way up to proficiency, which is the game-like experiences. So with pre-control, a variety of implements using large stationary objects. So at the beginning of almost all skill themes, many times you begin with larger objects, but more importantly, you're going to be stationary, which makes it a little bit easier for a child to accomplish the task. After experiences with static object, provide tasks which explore controlling object while traveling. So they're going to begin to move, albeit very slow. Control level, consistently strike object and beginning to develop mature patterns. And then tasks combine traveling while striking with other variables. So now you're starting to incorporate a little bit more challenge into the task. However, it's still not at the point where it resembles game-like situations. That's typically going to happen when you move up to utilization. Strike with control and choose appropriate striking pattern. In other words, having to make a decision on the outcome. Strike in more unpredictable, dynamic situation, changes in directions and changes in speed. By doing this, you're preparing them for making that jump up to the proficiency level. In the proficiency level, consistently and accurately strike while stationary or while moving, and then strike while focusing on the strategy and outcome of the action. So when we think about striking with long implements, what are some things that's going to happen in the elementary classroom? For example, if you're using hockey sticks, there are certain games and activities you can play with a hockey stick, which is going to provide the appropriate challenge as it relates to game situations. When you're striking with long implements, the one thing you do need to keep in mind is your safety awareness. Wearing protective gear, giving them adequate space. The only time I had injuries, well, I shouldn't say the only time, but the majority of the injuries that I had occur in the physical education classroom occurred with striking with long implements. If a child is not prepared or unaware of how to properly use or control the implement, then you're probably not ready for them to practice those skills. In my situation, I had a little girl who was struck with a hockey stick. I also had a young boy who was struck with a wiffle ball bat. In both situations, or in the first situation, it occurred during a game-like activity where a child, once they were striking the object, went too far and it came up and made contact with the girl's face. With the wiffle ball bat, a child walked over to pick up their ball, and in doing so walked into the area of another group. So from a safety precaution standpoint, the groups had plenty of space, but a child was not paying attention to his surroundings. So again, in conclusion, we look at the progression. As we see at the proficiency level, we have a lot of game-like situations. Utilization, game-like situations, but modified and more focused on specific skills. And then with control and pre-control, specifically with pre-control, starting out and developing a foundation, and then with control, starting to introduce traveling, but also incorporating different variables.